Good afternoon. As it is 5:30 p.m., I will call this City Council meeting of September 3rd, 2024 to order. We acknowledge that this meeting is being held on the ancestral lands of the Coast Salish people and pay our respect to those past and present. Today's invocation will be led by Pastor Scott with Seventh-day Adventist Church. If we could all please stand for the invocation.
Let's pray. Our Father in heaven, your name be honored as holy. May we never use your name frivolously or with any disrespect. May we realize that you are above all and over all things. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. May we always be striving to understand your will and not expect you to merely fit into ours. Give us this day of our daily bread. Please keep us nourished physically, mentally, and spiritually as to our need. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Father, may those in positions of power govern with the fairness and thoughtfulness that you would. Do not bring us into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. Please send your Holy Spirit to continuously remind us of our role and our need to serve you. For yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Remind us, Lord, that your kingdom can be begun immediately within our own hearts and minds. Remember that any power we may have was given to us by you. Remind us that you rule for eternity and we can be a part of that in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Please remain standing for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, this will be both a physical meeting and a virtual meeting. Some members of city staff or consultants may be participating via teleconference. Today's meeting may be viewed on YouTube, Facebook, and following the meeting on cable channel 10 HD 1090. Noticed as the last item on our agenda this evening is an executive session to discuss the sale or lease of real property per RCW 4230-110-1C. This executive session is held near the end of the meeting as it has no bearing on the other items on the agenda. Looks like we're all present and accounted for, so we don't need to call roll. With that, we'll move on to approval of agenda. Are there any suggested changes to the regular agenda? All right, we are approved as, or do we need a motion? Yes, we do. You got that on there, Julie. All right, so presentations. We have no proclamations, recognitions, or community presentations this evening. We will move into citizen comment period. Citizens may comment on consent agenda items or subjects of interest not listed on the agenda at this time. Citizens will have the opportunity to comment on the remaining agenda items during the meeting as appropriate. Citizens can also visit our website prior to our meetings for methods to submit public comment or contact the city clerk, Julie Nestor, by phone or email. When submitting comments, please include your name and address. Public comments sent anonymously or from a false address will be shared with the mayor and council but will not be displayed. We received several new public comments since our last regular meeting. They are displayed here. Does your mom live here? Oh, wow. Comments on public hearing items will be taken when those hearings are opened. Are there any members of the public present who wish to speak to items not listed on the agenda or on the consent agenda?
Yes, Mayor. Nolan Saltonstall would like to address the council.
Awesome.
Oops. Actually, I have a quick question. When's the next council meeting? I know there's 2 weeks. Okay, so I guess this is my last one. Sweet. Well, hi council. This is my last council meeting. I'm heading off to UW on the 17th, so I won't be able to see you. I thought I'd give an update on my service project, or our service project. It's been a while since I've talked at these meetings. As you know, on the 28th, Brian Smith presented the feasibility study and the progress we've made with that on the Parks Commission. I wasn't there for the meeting, but I watched it online, and as student rep, I saw it in the meeting. So it's pretty cool. We've come a long way. It's pretty sweet. Your support has been awesome. Even though I'll be leaving for Seattle in like 2 weeks, I'll still be in touch with the project. I know the Mr. O'Carver is probably going to have it as their service project next year because I'll be there. I know the reason we chose it is because Mr. Marshall showed up to one of our things and talked about it. So I'll probably do the same. I'll show up. I'll be like, hey guys, this is a cool idea. So there will definitely be community interest still in the project. So I think that's important because that's what's been keeping it driven. As you know, the feasibility study will be a long process, so we'll need invested support. So I want to affirm that that's going to still be going on, even though I'll be leaving. Mr. O'Carver will still be an interested party, all that. And thank you for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Nolan. Is there anyone else here with us this evening that hasn't signed up that would like to come forward and step up and talk at this time? All right, hearing no one else who wishes to speak at this time, we'll close public comment and we'll move on to our consent agenda. We will now move to the consent agenda. Staff has presented the listed consent agenda items, all of which were included in the meeting packet. Are there any objections or changes to the consent agenda? Yes, I got a few of you. So Mayor Pro Tem.
I just have a quick question for Chief Slowick on the school resource officer. Who is our SRO going to be this year?
It is Tyler Adamson. The amount that's in the contract is actually his current amount for the duration of this contract.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Councilmember Wiesner.
Thanks, Mayor. I'd like to remove item 4D for some discussion, please.
All right, so we have a motion to move item 4D. Well, didn't he make it, did he, oh, you want to make the motion to move it? I thought he did. Which one do you want? I'm sorry, which? E. Approval of city council priorities? Okay. So with having D and E pulled out, are we good? Can I entertain a motion to approve A, B, and C as presented? Yes? Yes, please.
I move to approve consent agenda items A, B, and C.
Second.
We have a motion to approve consent agenda items A, B, and C, seconded by Councilmember Wigginstein. All in favor, raise your right hand. Passes unanimously. All right, so I believe item D was pulled first. Do we want to have discussion on that?
Yeah, I've got a couple questions. Sabrina, was this application part, I mean, I know we're in the process of looking about how we're doing commission appointments and stuff. is this something after the process? Have we already started this process, or are we still working on that?
We are still working on the process. This application was already received and the individual had been contacted, so we talked about that at the workshop briefly, and the plan that staff had to move that forward.
And the position we're filling, which position is it? Is it the one that just vacated like 2 days ago, on the 1st?
No, it's the Planning Commission position 3 that was vacated. Oh, sorry. It was the Planning Commission position 3 that was vacated when I believe it was the current chair had submitted their resignation.
Which was effective September 1st?
Oh, correct. I just remembered the email was a little bit before that.
Okay, I'll yield, see if anybody else has got any questions, but I'm just kind of surprised. I mean, that it's a 2-day turnaround, and we've been discussing changing the process in order so that we might have some kind of steps in the process, so.
As stated at the workshop, we had already started this and notified this individual, so we had planned to move them forward to bring them to the council meeting, because we received the request to modify the process after we had already notified this individual.
Okay, like I said, I'll yield.
Councilmember Marshall.
Thank you, Mayor. I was at the Planning Commission meeting on Tuesday when the chair resigned, and I had already started reaching out to people, so I've got like 3 or 4 people that are interested in the position, actually, and so I would like to see us, kind of take that new path forward and interviewing and kind of qualifying individuals. Particularly with Planning Commission, I mean, we've got a lot that we're working on with our comp plan and stuff, and to do it, we want to make sure that we're doing a service to both the commission and to the commissioners, that we've got somebody that can jump in and take that role on, so.
And staff is happy to move in the direction that council wants. That's why we put this forward on the consent agenda.
Councilmember Hoffmeyer.
Yeah, full disclosure, I happen to be friends with the individual that has been chosen, so if, or that's on the consent agenda. So if we're at a point where we're counting votes, et cetera, just out of optics, I will probably recuse on this one.
Okay, so, yes, Councilmember Wigginstein.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that when we were talking about this at the workshop last week, that I'm totally in favor of slowing the process down and making sure we get, if there's other individuals in line to come in and whatnot, and no better place to start than immediately versus kicking the can down the road. So, yeah, I like the idea of having options. I like the idea of maybe having the Planning Commission involved in interviewing the candidates and then bringing them back to us.
Great, so I think what our city administrator has already said is we're willing to do that. We're just looking for someone to table this then until a later meeting, and then we can bring the new process to you guys to go through your interview process or whatever you want to do with whoever the additional candidates are with this candidate to then make your selection.
Do we have additional people who have applied currently?
Not at this time, but if those people are applying. So when I brought this forward after getting the information from council, that's why we were saying we had somebody who was currently in the process that had been notified, and we were looking at the process after receiving that information. So doing this reevaluation of the process, we're working on it, but it is going to take some time to document that because we have to go back and look at the bylaws and the ordinances. So that is part of the process.
I mean, for me personally, I do like the idea of the Planning Commission being definitely a very choosy commission, just because of what they do. And I've seen too many people just get in there, be way over their heads, and just have told me, we dropped out because we had no idea. I mean, it was just above our heads. That being said, this particular individual is already on a commission. He's on the Northwood Pool Parks and Rec. I'm not going to say that she has a large background in planning, which would be ideal, but I do feel like pulling the rug out in this particular instance might not be best. That's just me. I can see it going forward, and had we had that conversation 2 months ago before this person was offered, I'd say absolutely, let's put the brakes on it. I don't feel great about it under the circumstances, though. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. I agree with Councilor Stuckey. I don't know this person, like, personally, but I think that if we had already received notice of a resignation and we already had someone in the pipeline who'd been notified that they were going to be appointed to a commission, if the council decided we want to revamp the process after that, then moving forward, we can certainly have that discussion, but I don't want to do anything that's going to further disenfranchise a potential community volunteer. If they step forward, they've already been notified of their pending appointment, and then, like Councilor Stuckey said, pull the rug, in mid-process. So I would be in favor of confirming tonight's appointment and then reevaluating the whole process going forward, but not in mid-stream. Thank you.
Councilmember Arms.
Yeah, I have a question, Sabrina. How many openings are there on the Planning Commission right now?
This was the only one that I knew of. Mikhail's on the line and I can have her confirm, but that was the only one that we had right now, currently, that we're addressing.
Well, and I know we don't want to pull out the rug, but we were in the process of thinking of this. I mean, granted, thinking is not acting, but we were in the process. And it's kind of a hard sell one way or the other, but I think we're getting into, we have the comp plan, we have a lot of things really going on. And, not that people can't master two things, but if you're doing pool, park, and rec and trying to do planning, that is probably not fair, but do you have the time and the effort that we're going to have? Because I presume from what we've seen that we're probably going to have a lot more meetings, we're going to have a lot more involvement. Do people really understand this isn't just coming, doing their thing and going home? And so I have a little bit of concern with making sure that we're making the right decision. I mean, and it does put us in a sticky spot, but we are in the middle of something that is going to change the city of Oak Harbor, and we need people that have adequate time to devote. That's my only concern.
Thank you, Councilmember Arms. Anybody else for the good of the order? Otherwise, I would entertain a motion on this. Yes, Councilmember Stuckey.
Well, let's do it the Democratic way. I'll make a motion that we approve the mayoral appointment of Brit Kraner to Planning Commission Position 3 to fill the term ending December 31st, 2025.
We have a motion.
Second.
And seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. All in favor, raise your right hand. 2, all opposed. 4, so she is not confirmed on a 2-4 vote. Oh, 1 abstention. Thank you. Thank you for noting that. Yes. Shane had already said that. All right. So the other item that was pulled was the approval of city council priorities, and I believe that was you, Mr. Stuckey, if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, just 2 questions. One, as I looked through this, and I couldn't really see it when it was on the screen last time, so I didn't really get to the nitty-gritty. I kind of pulled the priority list that was emailed to us a couple months ago, and I'm noticing this I'm just curious how some of this got on here. For example, review and update employee policy manual. I know that we didn't sit there and say this. Was this kind of staff getting together, taking what we put as the overarching ideas and kind of drilling it down? Is that how some of these got on here?
I think there were some items that sorry. I think there were some items that we knew were currently in process for this year with having a new mayor, and so they just made sure that those items were listed so that you were aware of them and the staff is aware as well.
Okay. And I'm not going to sit there and pick this apart or anything. I like the overallness. The one thing I do want to ask, though, and this is a legitimate question for my peers, because I was looking at the list and the tally details and what was top, what was not. We did have representative form of government on there. Now, I don't think it's a debate of part-time, full-time. We've already had that. We're not going to rehash it. The idea of a council manager, are we okay with just saying we discussed it and it's done? Do we talk about that in a couple years when it's a little more relevant? I'm just curious, do we feel like that was finished?
Just to add more context to what you're saying too.
Sure.
You guys said during the workshop that this wasn't something you wanted to see on the priority list. It was something that you guys just wanted to discuss. So if you want to do that now, but that's what was said during that meeting.
And we looked back at the notes to confirm that.
Okay, I guess I'm just asking, is that
Yeah.
okay with everybody? Are we okay leaving it off? Okay, fair enough.
Is that it?
That is all I have.
Any other discussion on the council priorities? Okay, I would entertain a motion then to approve. Item 4E.
I move to approve the city council priorities as part of the 2025 to 2026 biennial budget process.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Stuckey, seconded by Councilmember Hoffmeyer. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right, passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mayor and council comments. Next. Citizens may comment on consent agenda items or subjects of interest not listed on the agenda at this time. Citizens will have the opportunity to comment on the remaining agenda items during, wait a minute, did we just read this? Sorry. I flipped the wrong page. All right. Mayor's comments, optics. There has been a lot of talk recently about optics. Some of these comments have been aimed at me personally, and some have been aimed at the council. As a community amplifier of positive things, I want to share the optics of how amazing our staff is with the council and community. Our police chief met with Main Street business owners to build bridges and talk about police services. The Public Works Department opened up Regatta in time for back-to-school nights in our community. Our city leadership team met to talk about budget requests. By coming together, they learned what other departments were planning and discussed ideas for future programs and projects. The Arts Commission and some of our city council members gathered for the groundbreaking of the Angel of Creatividad sculpture. City Administrator Combs and I attended an event at the high school to kick off the new school year. Our community is wonderful, and we were all well received at the high school with all of the staff. They were very supportive and excited to see us there. In my opinion, the optics are that we have an amazing team. I also want to give a shout out to the communications officer for always working with staff to share information with the community. Oak Harbor Music Festival. It was my pleasure to give opening remarks for the Oak Harbor Music Festival. Thank you to President Cynthia Mason and the board of Oak Harbor Music Festival for another wonderful event. Additional thanks to our city crews and police department for their work to make this a fun and safe event for all. And thank you to the many volunteers, including members of my staff, who joined in to make this a great weekend of music. Board and commission openings. The city has openings on a number of our advisory boards and commissions, a list of which are displayed on the screen. Please fill out an application online if you are interested in serving. So Councilmember Marshall, the folks that you've reached out to or have reached out to you, I would just encourage them to get those applications in so that we can start moving those through and you guys can start working through that process. Still hiring, the city has openings for employment in several areas, including seasonal positions, evidence information specialist, bus driver, streets, and more. See our website for a complete listing. Local events. There are several terrific special events happening in our area, many of which are displayed on the screen. And that is all for me. I will turn it over now to City Council for their comments at this time. Councilmember Stuckey.
Question and a comment. On that list of boards and commissions, and I noticed this last time, it says openings on the salary commission 4. Is that an error?
I'm sorry, for the salary commission?
It says salary commission, there are 4 openings. Is that,
Oh, that's got to be an error, yeah.
okay.
I believe there's only one at this time.
so there is 1 opening though?
Right.
Okay. As of this morning. Okay. Second, I just wanted to thank Nolan for coming out and moving this along. Takes a lot of guts to come up here, and for you to keep doing that over and over again and push that, I really appreciate it. So you're going to go far, and let me know when you need an endorsement for office.
Anybody else for the good of the order before we move on? All right. Going once, twice, hearing nothing, we will move on to public hearings and meetings. First being public hearing, Town Properties LLC petition for annexation. Here to introduce the topic is our Development Services Director, David Kuhl.
In lieu of.
Sorry, that's not what it says on my schedule. So Kamak is presenting.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Short presentation on annexation of Oaktown Properties. This is a location that the council is familiar with because we brought the request forward at the May City Council meeting. That's where when most of our analysis is done and most of our discussion on whether it makes sense for the property to be annexed. The city council moved the annexation forward. The applicants have filed all the adequate paperwork. They need to sign a petition, and we need to send it to the county for a determination of sufficiency. We've done that, and they also have to do a map for the requirements to satisfy state requirements. So they have submitted all that paperwork, and so we're bringing all of this forward for your decision today. So I have a short presentation. I will kind of skim through that just to make sure that I don't miss any of my talking points, which I don't. Good question. Oh, no, it's not. There you go. Okay, let's see if that works. There you go. Okay. So the property is located on Oak Harbor Road. This is a shot of the transportation or the proposed transportation network in this area. You can see 16th Avenue alignment as per our transportation plan, and also other street extensions through this area. So these are just noted here, so anytime we do annexations, we are aware of it. Now, our engineering department doesn't feel like some of these street sections will happen according to plan, just because of some of the practical challenges on the ground. So when we update our next transportation plan, some of these may change. But for right now, this is the plan, and these are some of the connections that are planned in this area, and we just have to be conscious of that. So this is another excerpt from our transportation plan, and I was talking about the network. And the reason I bring all of this up is one of the street alignments is aligned with the southern boundary of the properties that we're annexing. So when they come forward for development, if the plans haven't changed, there may be some requests to reserve some right-of-way along the southern edge, so that in the future, if any street does come through there, at least we'll have the opportunity to do so. So those are some of the things just to be aware of as we move through. There's water connections to this property. Sewer is a bit ways away, close to Crosby Avenue, so it'll be a little bit before sewer gets to them. But I think for the use that they are proposing to have, I think the water and the existing sewer system should be sufficient. So the property meets most of our policies and our annexation policies in our comprehensive plan. And so we request that the City Council conduct a public hearing tonight and close the hearing and adopt the ordinance to annex the properties. I'm happy to answer any questions or comments that you have.
All right, at this time, I will open the public hearing, and I will confirm with Julie that we have received no public comment.
That's correct, Mayor. We received no public comments on this item. We do have two people in the waiting room that we have asked to identify themselves before we will admit them or not into the meeting. Those who are in the waiting room, would you identify yourselves, please?
Julie?
May I speak?
Yeah. Hi, Jack. Yes, we see you.
Yeah, one of the gentlemen in this, Tony Train, he's one of my tenants. He tried to get in, but somehow he cannot respond you typing to you, I guess. So if you can let him in, that'd be great.
Is he wishing to speak, Jack?
He just wished to come in to join the Zoom meeting.
We usually let people into the meeting only to speak, not, because they can view the meeting online.
Oh, okay, he must have went to the wrong link or something, because he just tried to come into the meeting for the Zoom.
Right, he can view the
Okay.
meeting on YouTube.
Is he the
Well,
applicant?
okay,
Go ahead, Mikhail.
well, don't worry about it then.
And also, we have another, which is a number for area code 206-351-3719. That person also has not identified themselves. All right, Mayor, we will just continue with the public hearing.
Great, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience with us this evening that would like to speak on this issue? Hearing none, I will call upon council for their questions and comments. Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Since we have the applicant Jack Ng on the line, I'm just curious if there's anything you'd like to add before council begins its deliberations.
Jack, did you hear Mayor Pro Tem's question?
Oh, a question, Jack, for me? I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. You don't necessarily have to add anything, but if you have anything to add, I just want to give you the
I'm just a
opportunity to do that.
taxpayer. I'd be happy to pay tax to the city of Carver, and I had great experience working with the city of Carver all my years and doing business in Oak Harbor for 25 years, and the city been treating me great, so I'm happy to be part of the city of Oak Harbor instead of Adams County. We waited for over a year for the county to let us know what's going on, and my tenant's been paying me for over a year and not even getting an answer back from the county, so it was disappointing. So I'm looking forward to work with the city of Oak Harbor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember.
I mean, the only thing I really have to add is it seems like we've pretty much set the precedence that if someone wants to pay to annex, they can annex. And I think, boy, it's actually, it's rare that the 8 of us up here agree on anything, but I think we all believe that Jack has Oak Harbor's best interest at stake. So I would support this.
Councilmember Wiesner.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, this one makes sense, right? I mean, it's the direction that we're trying to edge. In fact, the county's trying to get us to edge this direction, right? To boot, I mean, I think it's, for all of us, it's an inevitability that building would end up coming into the city at some point in time. And I think the uses of that building open up a little bit with some of our zoning that and I think there's a lot of potential for the city to, I mean, it's one of the larger open span buildings we have in the city. And so I think it makes perfect sense. Again, it's a direction we intend to head, meets all the requirements. It butts up to the city limits and was an inevitability that this time was going to come. So I don't see any issues with it.
Councilmember Marshall.
Thank you, Mayor. CAC, I'm just curious, what does this obligate us to? I mean, we don't have to provide the sewer or anything until we get there, or does it obligate us to push up that timeline a little bit?
It doesn't immediately obligate us to connect to the sewer.
Okay.
We have developments that we have water connections to that we've annexed and haven't still provided sewer. So we do have those existing conditions. So it doesn't obligate us. However, I think over time, we want to be able to serve all our properties in the UGA. So as mentioned, we do have a project in the CIP to design infrastructure in this area. So it's one step moving forward and having that good faith effort to provide those services.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion if someone could put that back up on the screen. Yes, Councilmember Wiesner.
Mayor, I'd be happy to move to adopt ordinance and annex the Oaktown LLC properties.
Second.
We have a motion as presented by Councilmember Wiesner, seconded by Councilmember Hoffmeyer. Is there any?
Yes, we need to close the
Oh,
public
I'm sorry,
hearing
I'm
now.
sorry.
And-
Way ahead of myself.
And then if we could state the ordinance number in the motion.
All right, so we will first close public hearing, and then we have a motion from Councilmember Wiesner to, will you restate your motion for me,
Move
Councilmember
to
Wiesner?
adopt ordinance 2008 and annex the Oaktown LLC properties.
Second.
Motion as presented by Councilmember Wiesner to adopt ordinance 2008, seconded by Councilmember Hoffmeyer. Is there any further discussion on this before I call for a vote? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. All right, the next item on our agenda is the other items for consideration. Purchase authorization of police fleet vehicles. This was a late addition. We apologize for that. Here to talk to us and present is our Police Chief, Tony Slowick.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. I also would like to apologize for the late addition to the agenda. This information came about, and this is all because of Sandra Place and her great work that she's doing, always looking for fleet replacements and having a lot of connections out there in the community. So currently, did I get turned off here? No, it's on. So a little history on our fleet replacement. In 2022, the council approved replacing 2 of our marked patrol car SUVs. The intent was to purchase hybrid vehicles. Those hybrid vehicle orders were canceled. And in 2023, the council approved ordering 5 additional vehicles for a total of 7. And that order was also canceled. We came to council in 2023 and came to council in 2024, March of this year, and asked to purchase 3 electric vehicles. So of those 7 vehicles, we've ordered 3 electric vehicles. One of them is a Ford F-150 Lightning, which will be delivered on Friday, is what we've been notified that the delivery date is. And the other 2 are Chevy Blazer EVs, which we don't know the delivery date yet. The intent was to replace the remaining 4 vehicles with Ford hybrid SUVs. Ford has notified everybody, all law enforcement or everybody under contract, those vehicles will not be available until 2025. And currently we have 4 vehicles in the 2016 range that have about 140,000 miles or more on them. We're having increased maintenance and cost for worn equipment. We have reliability concerns for drivetrain and transmission, and we don't have replacement vehicles. If those to go down, we don't have replacement vehicles that are equipped with emergency lights and sirens that are sitting off to the side that we can use. Central Services, like I said earlier, has continued to network with different partners and recently found that there are 12, or actually a total of 18 partially outfitted 2024 Ford Police Interceptor SUVs with gas engines. We're asking council to change our earlier request for replacement from hybrids to gas engines and to allow us to buy those off the state contract. So allowing us to buy off the state contract, the vehicles were ordered with some emergency equipment that's reducing our outfitting costs. The vehicles are black, so they fit right in with our fleet. They are Ford Interceptor vehicles that can be repaired by our mechanics or our local Ford dealership in Anacortes. They are available for immediate delivery and can be delivered possibly as early as Friday with our Ford Lightning. And they'll, by replacing the vehicles, will stabilize our police fleet, and then we won't be looking for replacement vehicles of our current fleet. That will be resolved. Funding is available in our equipment rental fund, which continually accrues replacement funds each year. Currently, the unallocated funding in our equipment rental for the police department is $462,379.69. And the reason that it's less than, it's because we have the 3 other EVs allocated, so we do have more money than that in there. So what I'm asking for is a motion to authorize the purchase of 4 2024 Ford Interceptor SUVs from state contract, not to exceed $240,000, and an additional $60,000 for outfitting, which is about $15,000 per vehicle. If there's any questions.
Thank you, sir. I will confirm with Julie that we received no public comments on this issue,
That's correct, Mayor. No public comments were received.
and I would ask those gathered here with us this evening, do you have any public comment that you would like to make at this time? All right, hearing none, I will call upon council for their questions or comments. Councilmember Hoffmeyer.
Gas-powered, room, huh?
Yeah.
I like it. $300,000, David, that's already in the budget, correct?
Yeah, that's already in the fund balance.
Yep, so no reason to not support it.
Thank you.
Councilmember Wiesner.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, Chief Slogan, thanks for that. And quite frankly, I actually appreciate the pumping of the brakes a little bit on the electric vehicles. You knew I was concerned, and yeah, you know, we haven't got the other ones outfitted yet with everything, the lights and all the stuff, and the charging station stuff straightened out. And you know, I appreciate the you know, I know we found ourselves here, but the reality is that this is probably a good place, I think, to be for where we're at right now. I understand from the state level, we are mandated from the state level to make every effort we can to continue to switch to electric vehicle fleets as mandated by the state. And obviously, you and Sandra did all the due diligence that should appease the state that we've attempted to go there. And you know, I'm anxious to see how it all works out. I know you're totally pleased with your Lightning, and I've ridden in it, and it seems to be a great vehicle, and et cetera. But obviously, you know, we need to get a little time under the belt and get it all figured out. And so I think this is kind of a blessing in disguise.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Councilmember Marshall.
Thank you, Mayor. I support this, Chief. I'm just curious why the one vehicle is more expensive than the other three.
So it's when the contracts are ordered or when the vehicles are placed, the dealer changes the vehicle rate. I have been informed today by Sandra that the vehicles all will be on the lower rate. So when this was all put together on Friday, we knew that we could secure one at the higher rate. It's now all four are going to be at the lower rate.
Awesome.
Yep.
Thank you.
Councilmember Stuckey.
I'll go ahead and intercept this motion. I'm going to make a motion authorizing staff to purchase 4 2024 Ford Interceptor SUVs from state contracts not to exceed $240,000 and an additional $60,000 for outfitting.
Second.
We have a motion as presented by Councilmember Stuckey, seconded by Councilmember Marshall. Is there any further discussion before I call for a vote? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. At this time, the council will move into executive session to consider the sale or lease of real property per RCW 4230-110-1C. The anticipated duration is 15 minutes. Action may or may not be taken upon return to the open session. Executive sessions are not open to the public. It is 6:14. At this time, the council has come out of executive session, and we will resume the open session of the meeting. No action will be taken at this time regarding the matter discussed. There being no further business, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved, seconded, all in favor, raise your right hand. All right, we are adjourned at 6:29.